Hi, this is Andy Goldstrom. I am the principal advisor of Grow Law's expanding advisory group. We're providing services other than marketing to help law firm owners scale their firms. That includes not just marketing, but sales, operations, people, finances, and systems. If any of you have any needs or interest in how we provide those services, you can check us out at growlaw.co. There's an advisory services page for you to learn more about what we do. My background has 30 years of entrepreneurial experience, 2 Inc. 500 stints with very successful growth firms, and 10 years of coaching law firm owners. I've coached dozens of law firm owners who average up to 40% growth per year. And so I know I'm in an important chair sitting here. Sasha Burson normally leads these podcasts, so I'm his guest host, and I intend to be hosting a few of these. Today's my first episode, and I'm really excited to be interviewing Andrew Lopez. He's the founder of Sequoia Legal. He's a Denver-based boutique firm advising domestic and foreign companies on corporate, commercial, and international business matters. This is a serious guy with serious talent, and he's a great entrepreneur. Started his own law firm about 10 years ago, had some big law experience behind him, great education, and shares a lot about his journey at Sequoia Legal and what it takes to actually grow your firm and sustain it for 10 years. He's just celebrating his 10th anniversary this year. And you'll learn some things listening to this episode about why he started his firm, what allows him to focus on what matters to scale the firm itself, how he's added key team members and delegated, and now how he's using and advising clients on about AI and their use. He does a lot of regulatory and compliance work, and there's some aspects of that that are included there that are worth hearing. So I welcome you to sit back, enjoy the podcast. Thank you for welcoming me, and I look forward to sharing some more episodes with you in the near future.
Hi there. I have a small but really meaningful favor to ask you. I watch at the stats on our YouTube channel and Spotify channel, wherever most people listen and watch our podcast. And I see that over 80% of everybody who listens to it regularly is not a subscriber. I'm asking you to subscribe to this channel. And the reason for that is my mission and the mission of my team is to help as many small law firm owners to learn how to transform their law firms into better businesses, and so they in turn enjoy better lives. When you hit subscribe button, you tell these platforms that this is content worth listening, worth viewing, and they in turn will show it to many other small law firm owners and hopefully help me fulfill our mission of helping them create a better business and enjoy better lives. So would you please do me this favor? It would mean the world to me, and hit the subscribe button. And my promise to you is that I will continue to work hard at creating good content with practical ideas that help you and your teams grow better law firms. Thank you.
Hey, it's great to be here with you, Andrew. Good to see you today.
Yeah, great to see you. Thank you very much for having me on.
Yeah, great to talk to you today. Really interested in learning more about you and your perspectives and your Sequoia Legal firm and things that were part of your journey. And it's great to, have a valued Grow Law client on. And it's kind of exciting for me because as this advisory business is taking off, I have hosted podcasts before, but never on Grow Law. And so I get to sit in the chair and actually be a host for the first time and interview some great people affiliated with Grow Law. And I'm really appreciative of your time today.
Yeah, you bet. I'm excited.
Yeah. So tell us a little bit more about your background. I know you're from the Northeast. You've been in Denver for a while. Just tell us about your track to where you are now.
Yeah, I grew up on the East Coast in New Jersey, went to undergrad and law school in New York City. I worked at a couple of very large law firms there and eventually back in '09 when the sky was falling, my firm offered me a pretty generous deal and buyout, and I took it and came out to Colorado. Colorado Nexus is my grandfather was in the 10th Mountain Division during World War II, so he trained in the mountains here, and my grandmother lived here in the mountains. And I came out here. It was very tough to find a job, so I did a lot of networking, given the pandemic, and not the pandemic, this was before that, in the recession era. And so eventually through networking, I ended up at a very small law firm doing a little bit of everything, corporate, commercial, and international trade. I ended up going with one of those partners to a different small firm. And, through that journey, I ended up forming Sequoia Legal in 2016. Just kind of wanted to go out on my own and do my own thing. And so really haven't looked back. We specialize in corporate and commercial, so the whole life cycle of companies, and based on my prior experience at those other firms in Denver, we do international trade, so that deals with U.S. exports primarily, United States, military exports, sanctions issues, FCPA, sort of sanctions investigations, all of the above related to that.
Some really interesting stuff that you do at your firm. And, coming from the Northeast, you got some good background in terms of your education, but also Skadden's a great firm. I know many people who have worked there who got their start there and really built the foundation for success. And I think Colorado was your calling. Colorado's a great place.
Yeah, it's great.
Yeah. And are your clients Colorado based or national or global? Because Denver isn't really known as kind of like a global hub. It's a big city.
Sure. It's so on the international trade, it's really all over the country, sort of all over the world. We've represented companies in the Middle East and sanctions matters, represented individuals in Germany and England. So we represent, companies all throughout the U.S. who have, international trade issues, which is very common. And based on that, we really ended up representing a lot of foreign companies coming into doing foreign direct investment in the U.S., setting up subsidiaries and setting up their U.S. operations, which is more on the corporate side. And then for our corporate type clients, I'd say we represent, we have a few people at our firm who are admitted to the bar in various states, but I'd say primarily 80% is in Colorado, just based on, being close, even though a lot of it's through calls like these and video calls, and I haven't met half my clients in person, but it's just sort of people want to have a local attorney if they're based in Colorado.
Great. So you kind of touched lightly on why you started your firm. Can you dig into that a little bit deeper? Because I know that resonates with a lot of people who are law firm owners of small to medium-sized law firms, in terms of, was it a calling? You knew you always were going to be a law firm owner and develop this, or was it, because of circumstances, you decided you would give that a shot?
Yeah, I can't say that it was ever the vision to open up my own shingle. It wasn't on the quote unquote vision board or anything like that. It just kind of led that way based on circumstances with prior firms, dealing with partners and trying to find, when you're an associate, trying to find your way up to that level sometimes, and the path is not clear, and you don't really know what to make of it. And then you have to, it's like anything, a group of people, you got to deal with the politics and all that. And I, by the time I made the decision to go out on my, to put it as politically correct as I can, I had had enough, and I just reached a point in my career where I really, I was questioning whether I wanted to be an attorney anymore. Just like just all the pressures that attorneys face, and being a young attorney, being an associate And then you get to a certain level and there's still no pathway up. Really, the only path is out and over. And I can say that I'm very happy that I made that decision. Certainly some crunch times there at the beginning and learning all the various aspects of running a business, from the financials. I think I had the lawyer part down, but you are running a business at that point. And, certainly marketing, which I know we can talk about. Just, I say this to business owners who come to me. It's when you start your own business, there's the thing that gets you is all the little unexpected side things that take your time away that you never anticipated, that really take up your time and energy, kind of outside of actually doing the job. So, but all
Sure.
that said, the benefits and rewards, primarily my quality of life, my job satisfaction, and finally 10 years later, the money has started following that. But
Good.
I would say I would put money on the number 3 list of the benefits of this. So
Okay. Have you hit the 10-year mark? Have you had the 10-year anniversary?
it's coming up in December.
All
I
right.
guess. Yeah, sounds like a trip to Mexico. Now that I think about it.
Okay. Well, very few law firms get beyond, $250,000 in revenue, and only 4% get to $1 million, and only 1% can sustain that for more than 3 years. So if you've been at it for 10 years, you've accomplished something and inspire a lot of people. What is it that you did to help manage some of those interruptions and things that you said get in the way? Because, if you're always putting out fires, it's hard to scale. So, and I spend a lot of time with the advisory clients that I work with, just trying to focus and prioritize on the right things that'll move the needle for the firm. But things always get in the way. Things always come up. How did you compartmentalize that, or how have you managed to work through that?
Yeah. So I want to give a shout out to my partner, Hunter Boone, who was a young attorney at the time. So, but who's now been my partner for several years and really helped me throughout that process on everything. So, thank you again to him. And but also through that process, I did hire a business coach just because I didn't know. And as part of that, the business coach, encouraged me to focus a lot of my efforts on marketing. So I did hire a different firm than Grow Law initially to help with that process. And, it wasn't as robust as a program, but, at least got me a website, got me thinking about how to position myself within the market. I worked a lot with that business coach about, some of the financial, so just help, financial pieces and marketing, operations, how you schedule your day. And
The
a
things that
lot of
they
that.
don't teach you in law school.
Yeah, there's a lot of that. Lawyers can make good lawyers. They don't make good
Yeah.
managers. They don't make good finance people. Obviously, there are exceptions to that.
Yeah. So
But
you sound pro business coach. That was a good.
yeah, I
for you.
don't. Yeah, I think everyone tries to be an expert in everything, and that's not really. You'll just drive yourself crazy, and you won't do. You'll just be okay at everything, and it won't kind of propel you forward. And I look at it, it's a business, so you need to make investments, and you need to make them strategically, and you need to go through the process. And it's a trial and error. It's not a one size fits all. It's hey, let's try this type of marketing. Okay, that didn't work. Let's try this, and then you pivot from there. I also say another shout out to my assistant colleague Gail, who I've worked with forever at prior firms. I hired her to, when the marketing started to hit, just the call volume. So we really developed a procedure there where we would, she would start screening calls because I couldn't take all the intake that was coming in. Because, the funnel can be large at the top and then it gets narrow and narrow. And
Of course.
you need to weed out some of those top end funnel pieces. And again, it's just to be strategic with your time, with your sanity, yeah. So those are some of the pieces.
Sounds like you brought people on that you could tackle the work with and delegate appropriately, so you could focus on the things that were important. Is that fair?
Yeah, totally. And it's your own job, and to make it as long as I have, I think you have to. There are things you're not good at and that you don't enjoy doing, and that's where you help yourself by hiring out and bringing support into those areas, because otherwise you're going to burn out if you try to do everything. You're doing stuff you're not good at, you don't like. It just it'll overwhelm you. And
how did you know when the right time was to make the investment?
It was a learning process. Like, I started out very small on if we're talking about the business coach, I just kind of I was at a crossroads. I just kind of felt a little bit floundering. And, I had met several business coaches. I just didn't have a good connection. And then this guy, Patrick, who's like still a friend of mine. And he actually helped him leave the business coaching to buy a business. And so we still refer people to one another. Yeah. And so that's been great. We developed a friendship. I can still call him and ask for help on certain things, but I just kind of felt like I was stuck a little bit on terms of my daily day, answering calls, like I said, and just having that.
So it was when you were stuck that you made the investment. It wasn't like, hey, I've got momentum in my business because my marketing's working, and maybe as a result, I need to hire people so I can delegate more because there's more to do.
Yeah, I mean, I think the marketing did lead to me being stuck just by the volume of the increase in call volume, where a lot of my time was dealing with a lot of those, like I said, that top part of the funnel where I just I couldn't do the work, talk to all these different people that were not going to go anywhere. And so I needed to think strategically about that. And so eventually I did, it was working. There were some other issues. And I remember meeting Grow Law at an event through my business advisor. And eventually I ended up going with them. I think it's been six years. I mean, I probably should have looked it up, but it's been a long time. But that we have been on this journey together.
Okay. Yeah. And what have they done from a marketing perspective that has been the most helpful to you?
I think they've really helped take it off my plate in a lot of ways. Like, obviously, I'm still involved, but they have professionalized it. They've really done a great job, I think, with the website, first and foremost. They have helped me write, content for that website, always on and on, lots of blog posts. And so I've really this is a thing for law firm owners is, right? Like, especially me, I represent a lot of people selling their business, right? And a law firm is, well, what can you sell in a law firm, right? It's always, they talk about the book of business, and half the time I'm like, well, I don't know what I'm doing 2 weeks from now. The business just kind of comes, like, obviously it's planned out. I have lots of relationships. There's ongoing engagements, but still, I don't a lot of times I look at my calendar 2-3 weeks out. It's pretty open. There's not a whole lot there.
Grow Law help fill that.
Yeah. So Grow Law, I think building out the website like they did, it's an asset that I can invest in, and eventually, it's just an ongoing asset in the company that you really build. The online presence, the 5-star Google reviews, which they've helped encourage me and help me strategize how to do that. And all the articles, just the online credibility, that really is an ongoing asset, right? First. Two, it's how you get, a lot of, I mean, especially now with the shift to AI and everyone using AI, and they've really were, I must say, to their credit, really on top of that and have been at the forefront of that and really taking advantage of that. And, they've really helped me explore different options. We've done Google ads. We've done that. And what I think Grow Law did was they helped me analyze the ROI on various different metrics on that. And actually we pulled back from the Google ads and reinvested in other places. So that was, that really is really what they help do is that. And quite frankly, I don't have to write the blog post. I review it. I don't have to write the content for the website. I don't have to make sure it's backlinked. And then we meet monthly and go over the different metrics and adjust strategy accordingly based on their experience and my input. Right. It's still driven by me, but they're doing all I'm leveraging their expertise. And they have a client portal that we use to help, manage all our leads. And so, SEO, AI, which I guess is all part of the same, and driving a lot of leads into that. So we get leads through calls, we get leads through, Jivo chat, we get calls through online form submissions. And then, we have a process in place internally to go through all those leads and manage them and go from there. And importantly, we track everything from over time. So we can look back and say, all right, this is what we did a year ago. And especially now, it's like we can look back 3 years or whatever, and we can see the trends and, this is the point where we made this decision and this is how it generated that. And, they do push me. They tell me to, write up, try to do press releases, try to do different strategies to do it. And, just given my schedule, sometimes I need that. I need that push. So, yeah.
So it sounds like it's been a good partnership. Have they done anything other than the website and the blogging?
Yeah. Like I was saying, we meet monthly. They've encouraged me on, different marketing strategies within that, how to position it, Google landing pages, 5-star review campaigns, which I think is a lever that is underutilized by a lot of law firms.
Sure. And AI likes that.
And AI likes that, how they've integrated AI into what they're doing. I really think they were at the forefront of that. And just sort of being there when I have questions and issues with the website, anything related to that, any marketing type questions and just the overall strategy, so I like to have, different funnels of where leads come from. So you have the online, but you also have referral from other attorneys,
right,
other accountants, with other referral sources from clients, and sort of strategies how to leverage that as well.
Good. And do you find that most of the online stuff is people who can find you locally or regionally, or do you find that the online stuff allows people to find you all over the world?
I think, yeah, I get a lot of reach out and pretty specific international trade topic issues. So the international trade is definitely all over the world.
Yeah,
People look, they find me. My differentiators that I have the big law experience. A lot of international trade attorneys are at very large firms and charge 3 times as much as I do for the same type of work. So that's sort of my selling point is, listen, not every project requires a $100,000 minimum retainer with Kirkland and Ellis. It could be more right sized to your particular needs. But, a lot of the corporate stuff is Colorado based. A lot of times it's somebody somewhere else coming into Colorado. I get referrals to help in other states.
Great.
It just sort of all depends.
So you do a lot of M&A, entity formation, cross-border transactions, very niche, but very impressive and needed stuff in this global economy. And a lot of it has to do with regulation and compliance. And I know
Yeah.
some of it's way more technical. I read some of your blogs and some of your things about structuring complex asset acquisition and business formation, expediting global market entry, negotiating complex international corporate restructuring. My brain just blew up just reading that stuff. But for the average law firm owner who needs to deal with regulatory and compliance issues, AI things, employee matters, other things, what trends do you see and what would you recommend?
Yeah, I mean, I see a few different trends, like in terms of consumer privacy laws are a big one. I think, I also represent several companies in the TCPA, Telephone Consumer Protection Act, and that's a heavy regulatory body. Lots of just issues on there. That's lead generators, just anything where you really have an online presence and you're interacting with consumers, either consumers coming to your website or, and there's all kinds of, California laws, and each state is trying to pass a lot of laws to rightfully protect their citizens and residents, and that's a complex area. Certainly AI, I think in terms of what law firm owners deal with, right? Certainly we've talked about it, and how do you get yourself out there in the marketplace when AI is out there. And I think the Google reviews, having a strong online presence, and there are other factors that Grow Law has driven home to me, press releases, other types of things to really strategize and make sure that you're on there.
But for people who are using AI, like to do their legal work, how do they stay compliant?
Yeah, so I mean, one, you should have some disclaimer about AI in your engagement letter, and then when you use it, you need to make sure that the data that AI is using is not being shared with the AI. So in Claude, it's not using your information that you're putting on there. There are various privacy options that if you have to pay more for it, do that. You just got to preserve client confidentiality. And then three, it's just, I think it doesn't replace anything. It's just a tool, right? And so ultimately you still need to put your lawyer hat on, review everything, make sure it makes sense, and go from there. I'm sure a lot of law firm owners out there are also aware of clients coming to them having used AI and sending you an email that has been generated by AI. And clients do that sometimes in an effort to save money and an effort to educate themselves, and so there's a tension there sometimes how you do it.
Yeah.
They'll send you an email that's 20 points long, and it takes you 4 times as long to read the email, and tell them where, you're right here, but you're kind of missing the forest for the trees over here, and
right,
that's not material, or that's a good point.
Yeah.
And
well, I've seen a couple of clients where they have, where an employee used AI but didn't catch the fact that some of the case references were hallucinations, and that's not a good thing.
We've done contract review, again, it's a tool. So we will review it to try to summarize contracts and put it in there. And we'll just make up provisions and say there's provision. So you need to, again, it's a tool to be used surgically. And if you over rely on it, I mean, at the end of the day, it's you're the one providing the advice. It's your ass on the line.
Yep. Okay. If you had to do this all over again at Sequoia, would you do anything differently?
I mean, of course. Hey, but hindsight's always 2020, and in the moment.
Give me one big thing. One big learning point.
I would have fired clients. I'd be a little more selective in hiring clients.
Interesting. So now you're more careful because.
Yeah, I decline a lot of representations, just like, I'm listen, that's easier said than done when you're struggling to make a buck and you need to sort of take whatever you can to get the money in the door and get your name out there. But right now it's very, it's a two-way street, and the client needs to be reasonable for you. You need to be selective. You don't want to buy a lawsuit, buy a headache, and
Right.
end up doing a lot more work for a client that's not going to pay you. So, I've been burned enough that I now, healthy retainer is a good
Yeah.
good practice.
And
Upfront
price
retainer.
yourself for what you're worth.
Yeah, I would say that too. That's a great point. Is don't be afraid to raise your rates. You're worth it, and you have to be conscious of the market and all that. But if you have a good client relationship, and you provide value and you do good work, and you raise your rates, I'm not saying go from 500 to 1,000, but if you just a little bit, because sometimes you will find yourself $200 an hour below market. That you're leaving money on the table.
And the cost to deliver the service with the cost of living has gone up, and the cost to retain good talent.
Yeah, totally. I mean, I think the other lesson there would be to hire slow, obtain help in that process, right? It's another thing lawyers are not really good at. And if somebody's not a good fit, make that decision quickly and move on.
Yeah. Yeah.
So,
Several of my clients, I do the interviewing with them for key positions because I've hired over 500 people in my life. Right.
Yeah.
And they've hired just a couple, if that, and don't know what to ask or look for, or just haven't seen the movie. So you live and learn, and I appreciate that. So as we're wrapping up, just a couple things. Since you've moved out to Colorado, maybe this is an assumption that you like the outdoors, but what do you like to do outside of the office?
Mostly drive my kids to and from school and to their sporting practice. I have a 13-year-old daughter who's all into soccer. I have a son who plays football and basketball. So we're doing that. So that's a lot. Obviously, we ski. We skied as a family. My kids grew up skiing, which is something I could say. And so we have a dog and like to get him out and about. So yeah, just
what's your favorite
outside.
ski mountain? Where do you ski most?
I think I like Steamboat Springs is sort of close enough, but a little further away than a lot of the Front Range mountains. And it's just great terrain. And, most importantly, my brother lives out there, so I have a place to crash for free.
Nice.
But I think a place on the Front Range that is highly underrated is Copper Mountain. It's just a really cool mountain.
I've been to Copper. I've been to Breckenridge. I've been to Aspen.
It's hard to go wrong. Aspen is fantastic. It's really, Colorado is a great place to live.
Great. So some of our listeners want to reach you to find out more about the awesome services you provide, or just ask any questions. Where's the best place to reach Andrew Lopez?
Yeah, you can reach me at Lopez@sequoialegal.com. Yeah, and our number's on the website, and that's probably the best way to get in contact with our firm. And yeah,
and I know there'll be some details in the show notes as well, but I thought I would share that. So
sure. Yeah.
So this has been awesome, Andrew. Good to get to know you even better. And I'm glad that Grow Law has helped you in your trajectory. And thanks for sharing all the learnings that you have along the way today. I appreciate it.
Yeah. Thank you for having me. Appreciate it.